Hey guys, Rich here, and this is a follow-up to the first Artillerist video. I thought I would cover some of the exclusive spells that the Artillerist gets, and discuss their strengths, their weaknesses, and if they complement the class. So, let's get started. The first spell you get access to at level 1 is Shield. Shield is fantastic. It doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're a low level, it's a great way to mitigate damage, and if you're at a high level, it's a great way to use up your level 1 slots. No one's going to complain at a reaction for plus 5 AC. It is a spell slot, so it's more valuable with the Artificer because of the lack of spell slots compared to other classes, but to have it in an emergency it's a get out of jail free card, basically. Especially if you try and get in close with melee combat, if you're using a Hobgoblin, for example. Now, the next thing you get at level 1 is Thunderwave. This is fantastic. When you get to level 5, you get the wand gun thing that gives you an extra 1d8 damage on one source of damage. So, if you'll take, for example, something that shoots 3 things, like Magic Missile, you'd only get the bonus 1d8 once, but if you have something like Thunderwave, everyone that's caught in the Thunderwave, if they take damage or they take half damage, they're still going to take the extra 1d8. And this scales with your level, so it's never going to be super underpowered. And yeah, it's also useful for pushing people around the map. You can use it, where is it at the end? On a successful save, creature blah 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 blah. On a failed save, the creature takes 2d8 thunder damage and is pushed 10 feet away from you. The Artillerist Cannon is the Eldritch Cannon. You can also use it to push creatures 5 feet, I believe. So in combination with this, you can get creatures away from you, you can manipulate them around the map, maybe push them off a cliff, for example. Just try and be creative with it. But yeah, let's move on to the level 5 spells, I believe. At level 5 you get Shatter. Now, as was said in the previous video, which I'll link up here, I believe, in the little linky box thing, Shatter is a great spell, especially against inorganic metal gnomish inventions, for example. It's 3d8 thunder damage on a failed save. It's con save, so it's worth noting that it's the same con save as Thunderwave, so it's not the best, but your Eldritch Cannon, the Flamethrower, for example, works on a dex save. So theoretically, in one round, you could cast Shatter, plus your extra 1d8 for 4d8 damage from the con save, and then an extra 2d8 damage from the Eldritch Cannon. So that's on par with Fireball. It's a lot more convoluted because you have to use your main action and your bonus action, but it balances itself out, kind of. And it's worth noting it scales with higher levels. Range of 60 feet, which is good. It's not a long range spell, but it really does, it really is able to give a lot of damage. So it's only a 10-foot radius sphere, again, smaller than Fireball, but the fact that it's 10 foot is better than having it just a normal spell that deals damage on contact. Oh yeah, and the disadvantage on save and throw against stone, crystal, metal, things like that. You don't have to use it on creatures every time. You could theoretically use it in a roleplay setting to break down a metal wall, for example, or making your way through a cavern. The possibilities are only as limited as your imagination. So, the next spell, Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray thematically works because you're shooting off beams of damaging energy, but it doesn't sync up well with the Eldritch level 5 ability. So you do get 3 rays of fire, 2d6 for each, so that's a potential 6d6 if they all hit. So if you have a +1 wand or a +2 wand, for example, you could theoretically use that to deal use the bonus multiple times. but I would rather go for an area of effect with the Artillerist. And yeah, use that 120-foot range. If you're going to cast this, make sure you're well away from the enemy, because this can really help protect yourself. Let the barbarians, let the fighters deal with the melee damage. You stick back with the wizard and the bard. Chill out, have a cup of tea, relax, shoot some Scorching Rays, see what happens. Now, here we go. Now we're talking. We gain access to Fireball next. I believe this is level 9. I may have to correct myself in the editing, but yeah. Fireball, classic spell. It's overpowered. Let's not lie here. It's overpowered for wizards to get it at level 5. But it kind of balances it out. If you're getting it at level, just before level 10, it makes sense. But yeah, there's not much else to say about Fireball. It's great at range. Make sure you don't hurt your allies, and have fun with it. And watch out for sneaky wizards with counter spells. That's always an unfun experience. And the other spell you get, the third level spell, Wind Wall. Now, this is when the Artillerist starts getting a little bit more complex, and you can use it to manipulate the board, manipulate the map. Yeah, it's a third level spell, range of 120 feet, same as a Scorching Ray. So you could technically keep people out, jump in 5 feet, get in range, shoot them, and then jump back out again. It lasts for 1 minute, and anyone that's in the wall when it appears makes a strength throw, or it takes 3d8 bludgeoning damage, half on a successful save. And it's worth noting the size of the wall as well. 50 feet long, 15 foot high, and 1 foot thick. So it's a great way to keep creatures out, as well as keep yourself away from bad situations. Strong winds, the strong wind keeps fog, smoke, and other gas at bay. This is a great utility spell, especially if your enemy is trying to cast Cloud Kill or something of that nature. I don't know, I'm not 100%, but I believe Cloud Kill would be wiped away by this. I'll have to fact check that afterwards. But yeah, it also affects arrows, bolts, and projectiles. They'll go straight up. Oh, boulders held by giants or siege engines and similar projectiles are unaffected. So, I'm not sure. It's probably up to the DM's discretion as to what size of projectile is going to get knocked away by Wind Wall, but I'm sure they can make a judgment call. Your DM's a smart cookie. Now, the next level, level 4, we get Ice Storm. And massive range on this, really good range. It is bludgeoning damage, but the problem is by the time you get to this high level, bludgeoning damage is usually resisted by a lot of creatures, but it can be used to break concentration on wizards. And again, it's a 20-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder. The good thing about these spells that the Artillerist is getting is they're all AoE. Again, it plays up to the strengths. You can send in your Eldritch Cannon on foot, shoot it with a flamethrower, keep the people at bay, and yeah, you can almost play a game of tower defense with this. So it's a dex save, 2d6 bludgeoning damage, 46 cold damage on a failed save. Half as much in a successful one. Oh, and the difficult terrain is another way to keep people slowed down, keep them away from you. Again, the aim of the game with this subclass is map manipulation. Now, Wall of Fire. Wall of Fire, dex save, great range. Again, it's late in the game when you get the access to this, so use it wisely. But it's similar to Wall of Force in the sense that it's 60 feet long, 20 feet high, 1 foot thick. It's worth noting, on a ringed wall of 20 feet in diameter, 20 feet high and 1 foot thick, the wall is opaque and lasts for the duration. So it is see-through. It's not going to block field of vision. Now it's 5d8 fire damage if they're caught in, if any enemies caught in the firewall. And to get past it, you have to take another 5d8 fire damage. It's a shame. The one thing I would say is that it may be overpowered if you could move the wall in between rounds, but again, that's just fantasy football here. There's no way that it would be balanced enough to let something like that happen. Now, another wall spell. I'm sure you're starting to see the theme of this subclass, the specific spells that are attributed to the Artillerist. Keep them away, pepper shots at them. Wall of Force. An invisible wall of force springs into existence at a point chosen within range. 120 feet, 10-minute duration. You can form into a hemispherical dome or a sphere with a radius of up to 10 feet. Or you can shape a flat surface made up of 10-foot by 10-foot panels. So you could theoretically... Could you walk over this? I'm not sure if it would support the weight of the party, but I don't see why not. If the wall cuts through a creature's space when it appears, the creature is pushed to one side in the wall. Your choice. So you can use this to wall enemies into the corner of a cave, for example. And they're going to have a real hard time trying to get out of it, unless they can start passing through rock. Now, nothing can physically pass through the wall. That's a really strong wording, and I'm sure that you could really use this to your advantage. It is immune to all damage and can't be dispelled by dispel magic. A disintegrate spell destroys the wall instantly, however. Unless your DM is specifically prepped a disintegrate spell with this in mind, there's a good chance you're not going to run into this. The wall also extends into the ethereal plane, blocking ethereal travel through the wall. Now, this is a really high level ability, and you're going to be getting this spell at high level, so blocking ethereal travel, I'm sure it would have its esoteric uses, but generally speaking, it's not a common thing to use it for. But the fact that when you're dealing with the ethereal plane, it's usually such a dramatic high level event that when you manage to pull something off like this, completely game changing. Just keep it in your mind. When you get up to that high level, it could be worth using. And finally, I think that's finally, let's just check. Yeah, finally, Cone of Cold. It's the last spell we're going to cover today. Now, 60 feet, it's like a breath weapon of sorts. 60 feet cone. It has to, what's the word? Has to originate from yourself. And it's instantaneous. It doesn't have a lingering effect. But take a con save or take 8d8 cold damage. You can bump it up to 9 if you're following the thread. A creature killed by the spell becomes frozen statue until it thaws. So I'm not sure how that would affect death and revivify and things like that. But I would think something on ice would theoretically be held like that. But again, it's up to your DM to interpret that as how they see fit. Now, technically this does scale, but if you're using it with the Artillerist, I don't think you're going to get much use of scaling it up from level 5. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the spells, but thanks for watching. And if you've not checked out the Artillerist video yet, I'll have it linked in the description. It'll cover all the abilities, feats, races, everything in between. And if you're thinking of a different Artificer class, there's a what's it called again? Playlist. There's a playlist down below. It's got the Alchemist, it's got the Armorer, and in the future it will have the Battlesmith as well. And if you want to continue the conversation, don't be afraid to leave a comment. It's free and it would help out the algorithm and help me out a lot as well. There's a Discord that's available, and I believe there's a Patreon as well. If you want to help out monetarily, it would be greatly appreciated. It helps keep these videos funded, and the more I get, the faster I can make these videos. There's 106 subclasses to cover, so I'm just a fraction of the way there. But thanks for watching. I'll speak to you next time. Bye.